Hello everyone, welcome to our today's session. In this session, we are going to learn about the adverse effects of the environmental pollution, right? So this is an important part in the biosphere. So when you take all the O-level past papers, the first structure question will be on this biosphere unit, right? So today just we are going to learn a part from that unit, right? So when you consider the environmental pollution, the effects can be divided into two types, the direct effects and the indirect effects, right? So the direct effects, these are acid rain, global warming, depletion of ozone layer, photochemical smog, biomagnification, eutrophication, increase of radiation level. So these are directly affected by the environmental pollution, right? So due to these things, some other things are indirectly affected. So those are loss of habitat of organism, desertification, reduction of crop yield, construction and degradation of natural environment, health issues, reduction of biodiversity, introduction of invasive species, and economic losses, right? So due to these direct effects, some are indirectly affected, right? So now let's go one by one. So let's first learn about the direct effects of the environmental pollution, and that is first acid rain, right?
When we talk about rain, it is naturally a bit acidic. So this acidic is because of the dissolution of carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. So when we talk about the pH of the natural rain, it is about 5.6. Now let's see what causes this natural rain to become an acid rain. Yes, the acid rain is caused by a chemical reaction that begins when compounds like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are released into the air. So what happens? These substances can rise very high into the atmosphere where they can mix, and it reacts with water and oxygen and other chemicals to form more acidity. So this is the reason for the increase of acidity in the rain, and this is known as the acid rain. Now we learned that sulfur dioxides and nitrogen oxides reacts with water and oxygen. Now let's see how the reactions takes place. So when you consider the sulfur dioxide dissolve in water to form sulfurous acid, which we called H2SO3. Then in the presence of oxygen in the air, the acid is slowly oxidized to form sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4. And also sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4, also formed due to the dissolution of sulfur trioxides too, which is SO3. Then when we consider the nitrogen dioxide, that is also in the presence of oxygen and water, it is converted to nitric acid, which is HNO3. So mixing the water and oxygen with the above acids to form rain is known as the acid rain.
Now you understood about the acid rain, how it is formed, right? Now let's see the adverse effects of the acid rain. So right, it destructs the forest and crops, and also due to this acid rain, aquatic organisms are destructed because of the acidity inside the water, and it affects the absorption of minerals by the plants and dissolve the limestones and other rocks, and it destruct the metallic buildings, statues and other ruins, and also some poisonous heavy metals dissolve in water, and the concentration in the reservoirs of the acidity increase. These are the adverse effects of the acid rain, right? I hope you understood about the acid rain, right? Also here, at least you have to know three effects of the acid rain, right? So next, effect is the global warming, right? So what is global warming? So this occurs due to the greenhouse effect. So you have to know what is a greenhouse effect. So see here in the first image you can observe that sun gives, from sun the earth gets the radiation, right? So that radiation is reflected back from the earth, right? Then during the reflection, around the earth you will have the greenhouse gases. Example, carbon dioxide, right? So see in the picture too, these are the greenhouse gases. First, in the first picture, they absorb the gases, and some of them again they will release back some rays to the earth. You can see this in the second one, right? Then what happens? Due to that, earth get warms, right? It warms the earth, right? So that causes the global warming, right? So the earth, when the greenhouse exceeds their permissible level, the temperature of the atmosphere increases, right? So this causes the global warming, right? So due to this global warming, so what are the effects? The melting of polar glaciers, right? Polar glaciers will melt. And also when the polar glaciers, the ices are melting, what happens to sea level? They start to increase. And that islands, due to the rise in water level, the islands will be submerged, right? And also it can change the global climatic patterns, right? So these are the effects of global warming, right? So next effect is the depletion of ozone layer, right? So ozone, we know that is trimetric molecule of oxygen. Oxygen combine, here they combine, and three molecules of oxygen forms the ozone, right? So it is a thin layer, and it is main function of is to protect the earth, right, from the UV rays, right? So at high atmospheric, oxygen absorb UV radiation and form the atomic oxygen. So what happens? See here, at high temperature they absorb the UV and they form the atomic oxygen, right? Then this atomic oxygen is very highly reactive. So this oxygen can react very highly with, again they react with the O2 molecule present in the atmosphere, and they forms the ozone, right? And also to maintain the neutral, right? Again, what is happening? The O3 is converted back to O2, right? By releasing the oxygen atom, right? So this is how the equilibrium maintained in the ozone layer, right? Okay. So, but here we are talking about the depletion. So far I told about the formation, how it is formed. Ozone layer is formed in this way. So, how this ozone layer is depleted, right? So, that is because of some gases. What are the gases? CFC and mainly nitric oxide. They destroy the detaching of the oxygen. So, here you can see here clearly. So some molecule come and they detach O3. So the ozone is depleted, right? So the atomic chlorine react with O3 and break down ozone molecule. So that is what you can see here, right? So this atomic chlorine reacts with O3, and nitric oxide also react with ozone to destroy them, right? Not only chlorine, even the nitric oxide, they affects this, right? So what are the ill effects? They cause cataracts, they cause mutations, and our body immunity is reduced, and also it affects the photosynthesis and they reduces the crop yield. Okay, so that is called the depletion of ozone layer, right? So next is the photochemical smog, right? So that is a yellow colored mist. See, that is formed due to the reactions of sunlight and the chemicals that is present in the vehicle emission, right? So that is called the photochemical smog. So what are the effects due to smog? They cause respiratory tract disorders because we inhale the gases, so we can get respiratory disease. Then those are very toxic to plant, and they affects the vision, and also the quality of rubber and cloth reduces due to the bleaching. These are the adverse effects. Right. Next is the biomagnification. Right. What is biomagnification? So the toxic materials that are collected along the food chain from one trophic to other. See, you can see in this diagram as well as here. So when you see here, the methyl mercury is a toxic material that is taken by some fish, and these are eaten by some others. So these are taking more toxic, and this large fish taking more toxins. Right? Likewise, here also you can see the like red color part. Those are the toxin transmitted through the food chain. Right? So that process we called as the biomagnification. Right? So these substances do not degrade easily. So when you see the features of these substances, they are not degradable easily. Then they stay for a long period, and they can pass from one organism to another. Then soluble in lipids. They can be soluble, the toxins can be soluble in lipids and become active as biochemicals. Right? Then next direct effect is the eutrophication. Right? So this is because of the increased concentration of nitrate and phosphate ion. So when the nitrate and phosphate ion increase, then they form the eutrophication. So that can be increased due to what are the things? Due to the waste materials from the industries, then through the agricultural chemicals, fecal matters, detergents, all those wastes are sent to the water bodies. Then due to those things, this nitrogen and phosphate can increase in the water bodies. Right? Then what happens? Due to the increase of these, there we can see the algal growth, right? So alga is grow and they will form a green colored foamy layer, right? Okay, so this uh, incident you called as the eutrophication, right? So here then you can observe a greeny surface, that is eutrophication. Okay, so this alga die, right, due to heavy competition. See, you can see many alga has formed. So due to heavy competition, what happens? They die. Then due to after death, on these dead particles, they will form the anaerobic bacteria. What is anaerobic? They no need oxygen, right? So those bacteria, they will release some gas. What are the gases? They will release like they will release H2S and NH3 and also CH4. So these are the gases that is released during eutrophication by the anaerobic bacteria. Right? Okay. So now let's see the ill effects of eutrophication. What are the ill effects? Loss of transparency. See, they become greenish like this. So the sun can't enter, and also you can't see inside water, right? Unable to utilize. We can't use that water, and it reduce the biodiversity. Or like aquatic plants die, aquatic animals die. So due to that, it reduce the biodiversity, and also loss of beauty of the reservoir, right? So these are the ill effects of eutrophication, right? Okay. Then the last effects, direct effects of environmental pollution is the increase of radiation level, right? So exposure to radiation increases day by day, right? So mainly due to radiation released by natural source and due to human activity. So the radiation can be released due to naturally from sun or by the human activity. So especially when you talk about human activity, they produce like nuclear power station and they destroy ozone layer, all those things, right? So those are the things given here, right? So all these are the direct effects of environmental pollution. Okay.